Hey guys, what is going on? It's Johnny Two Thumbs 17 here, bringing you another episode of my Football Manager 2016 Unemployed Start Save, currently with Stevenage FC in the championship. Before I get started, I of course have to do my plug party. Be sure to like and favorite this video. Also help me achieve my first goal of 50 subscribers and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Follow my video game blog on Tumblr and follow me on Instagram. There's a lot of mobile-only content that gets posted on Instagram, so if you want the full J-Thumbs experience, be sure to add me on all those sites. Once again, the name is Johnny Two Thumbs 17, and as always, you can find those links down below in the description. So we are about to begin our second season in the championship, so I just wanted to go over our offseason, look at our transfers, and show you guys how the club is shaping up. The transfers will be pretty interesting because there will be some familiar faces that we have brought back in. First, let's take a look at people we let go. And sold, I should say, as well. But we let go some big names. Burke, Livalant, Cora, Leverington, Brian Smith, Nigel Walford. A lot of the American players we brought in just because it's going to take too long to get them work permits. So a lot of them are gone. McGrandles wasn't happy, so he is gone as well. Brian O'Brien didn't want to enter contract negotiations with me because he was unhappy with the club. I did have a chance to try to sign him this offseason when he was willing to talk to us, but he accepted a lower offer from another club, which kind of sucked. We also got rid of some youth players which weren't panning out. And then here are the players that we were actually able to sell. We got rid of Ryan Alsop. He did an okay job for us last season, but I just felt like we could maybe get a better keeper, get a keeper that we could develop more. So we sold most of these people for their value at the time. So Alsop we sold for 175. Sent some people out to Spartak. Hartman, who we were using as a central defender last season, we sold for 72k. Celestine, we also sold. Huntington. Basically, we got rid of a lot of our defenders. Mendocino is gone as well. Henderson, we could not find a place for. I tried selling Mario here, but nobody was willing to buy him, so we have him out on loan as well. Same story for David De La Rosa. Jim Brown, Lubin. Yeah, Jim Brown and Lubin I recalled and then promptly sold. I tried to do the same thing for Amaya, but could not find any buyers for him. Sheridan we sold, who was a pretty popular player and a guy that I kind of personally liked, but he just didn't develop enough. Leland we got rid of as well. He was kind of our central guy in the middle of our defense last season, but he's not a natural central defender. He plays out wide, and his crossing and things like that just aren't good enough to be out wide, so we sold him. And then the biggest sale this offseason was James Carville. With incentives and stuff like that, the deal goes up to 1.1 million, but you got 875k up front. Not the most popular move with the fans, but you can see he's 23. He's a good player, a really good player. But, we're a club that needs money. We have sort of an abundance of midfielders. So we went ahead and sold him for the cash. So let's go ahead and talk about the people we brought in. I already talked about Amaya here. Needs a work permit. Principe is another American player we brought in. Not great by any means, but I think we could try to build him up. And that's what I want to do. Being American, I want to sort of build up American players. Surprisingly, he does not need a work permit for whatever reason. So we're definitely going to do what we can to help him develop. You can see we are currently tutoring him to try to raise those mental stats. So being that we sold basically all of our defenders, we had to bring in a number of central defenders, and I also wanted to try to strengthen our attack, and we brought in some experienced midfielders. The majority of all of our signings are free transfers, which is what I like to do just because we are not a club with a lot of money. But you can see we did spend pretty big on Ben Kennedy. I believe this deal is one of those deals where the majority of the money is, we're paying over the next 4 years, but they did want a pretty decent chunk up front. But that's getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and take a look at who we brought in here. So with the defenders that I brought in, I got most of them to agree to be rotation players, because I'm not sure who I want to be starting just yet. So this is kind of where I was going with my thinking on these defenders. None of them really have great physical stats in terms of like their acceleration, their pace, things like that. They have decent enough strength, decent enough jumping reach. But I like the idea that I don't necessarily want our center backs making tackles. I'd rather them have interceptions. And so I wish I could find somebody that had a more like complete physical package, because I think acceleration and pace are kind of certainly play a role in that aspect. But I wanted to bring in defenders with really solid mental stats. And so basically I was looking for defenders that had at least 10 anticipation, at least 10 composure, at least 10 concentration, at least 10 decisions, determination. I try to get players that have 14, 13, 12, something higher than that, just because I think in the long run it helps them out. And then I also wanted at least 10 positioning, at least 10 teamwork, and at least 10 vision. I think those are all the categories I was talking about. It's a lot of categories, a lot of things I had set up to at least 10. So this is the first guy we brought in, Joel Ekstrand. You can see pretty solid mentals all around. I want our central defenders to be able to mark players, to see runs, to see chances, to make interceptions. And, he's decent enough to the point where if he has to make a tackle, he can make it, and he can make it count. So that's kind of the thinking. I am afraid that we are going to get burned a ton with balls over the top, which is a problem our defense has had in the past anyways. So that is a concern for me. But I really want guys who are going to be making interceptions if they can, rather than tackling. So the next guy we have is Kevin Magri. Same deal. 10s all around in his mental stats. He has better physicals than Ekstrand. Decent enough marking, decent enough tackling. Again, a guy that I'm looking for to make some interceptions. So bringing that, we did sell Alsop. We did need to bring in a new goalkeeper. So I brought in Burchett on a free transfer. The only problem I have with this guy is I wish his vision was higher, but it seems to be kind of hard, especially on free transfers, to find a goalkeeper with good vision. But aside from that, he does have pretty solid mental stats. He has good work rate. He's a good team player, good positioning, concentrates well, average under pressure, but he anticipates plays well. Solid physical stats all around, and pretty good mental stats, or not mental stats, goalkeeping stats as well. So he's going to step in as our starting goalkeeper. We have Frank Melhern up next. Like I said, I wanted to strengthen our attack, so we brought in a lot of players as backups, as rotation players, until we kind of find the right guy, or maybe the right striking duo. So I kind of went along the same track of thinking with my strikers as I did with my central defenders, in that I wanted people who could anticipate where the ball was going to be and who could see runs develop and make those runs. So I wanted just really, really smart players. So you can see his physical stats are okay. Mental stats, he has a pretty solid foundation. Finishing is just okay. Technique is just okay. Ben Kennedy is a name that should be familiar to people that have been following the series because he used to play for us. As I mentioned before, we did have to buy him on a transfer. A lot of the money was, a pretty good chunk of the money was up front. A lot of it is spread out. He didn't perform well for us in the past, but I think he's a little bit older now. He's a lot more developed. Super, super, super solid mental stats. Good overall physical stats. Decent enough finishing. Needs to improve on his technique a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. But he is a smart player, especially for a guy who's still pretty young. He's just 24. So I'm super excited to have him back in the club. I am going to butcher a few of these names. Uros Stepanovic. I'm guessing that's how you say that. Again, the same idea. He's a little bit older. Incredibly solid mentally. Decent physically. Decent clinically. So that is kind of the theme you're going to see come up again and again and again. Campbell Young we brought in to replace Leland. He's going to be rotating into our central three defenders, even though he has the same problems as Leland. He has like the right mental stats and whatnot, has sort of the right physical stats, but he's short. He doesn't jump well, and so he could kind of get taken advantage of in those situations. This is one of the few players that we picked up that's going to be kind of in our starting lineup right away, that we promised a key role. This is Uros number 2, Djurjevic. He is a solid all-around player. Pretty good physicals, solid mentals all around. Pretty decent finishing, probably one of the highest on the team. Good technique. Looking forward to having him lead our attack. Milan Pavkov is currently injured, unfortunately, but we wanted a kind of experienced presence out on the wing to rotate in when needed. Just a solid player all around. You can see everything is basically 10 or above, and at this level, that is incredibly good and just super well-rounded. We also have Alexander Kirovsky. He is going to be our backup goalkeeper. Solid all around. He is, a little bit older, but he's just a solid all around keeper. If we have to bring him in, we're not going to worry too much. And he's also good for tutoring, which is another reason why we brought him in. Teddy Chevalier. He's French, so it's probably Chevalier. Teddy Chevalier is a player that we are looking to develop. You can see he has a pretty good sort of base here in his mental stats with a lot of 10s that we can develop. Not great physically, but he has pretty good strength. He has really good jumping. He is going to be a ball-winning midfielder for us. So we want to kind of increase his physical stats a little bit, but we're really trying to tutor him up and make him just a smart player. Taylor Luvambo is another player along that line of thinking. I think he's a little bit older than Chevalier, and he's also a little more developed in that regard. Not great physically. Hopefully that does improve with training, but he's another guy that we are trying to develop mentally and just turn into a solid striker for us. Oh, I told you guys I'm going to butcher these names. Pierrick Valdivia is a experienced midfielder. He's 33 years old, but still has pretty solid physical stats. Really well-rounded mentally, good technical stats. A guy that we are going to, plug in to play when we need him. He's also going to serve as a good tutor. And the last player that we brought in is another familiar face. We have brought back Sasha Petchy. You guys may remember him from a couple of seasons ago. We ended up selling him, and he got released from his club after this season. So we immediately offered him a contract, and he was more than willing to come back to the club. He was a incredibly consistent performer for us in the past. And so we're pretty happy to have him back. Again, he's going to be a rotation player, somebody that we could plug in and not really have to worry about losing a beat. So that's going to do it for the transfers. If we take a look real quick at the squad, just to take a look at our starting 11, you'll see there are some new faces. Burchett is our goalkeeper. Tatum is our defensive, or our right fullback, I should say. Potts is going to be our left fullback. Mumbella, Ekstrand, and Magri are our central three defenders. Who else? Palazzi, Perret, Morris, and Pirak are going to be our midfielders. And Djurjevic, I'm going to ruin that name all season. He is up top. So you may notice that is a little different formation than we've been using in the past. We did finally add a third formation, just a pretty standard 5-4-1 to kind of take advantage of some of our midfields, because we do have an abundance of midfielders. So this will be kind of our standard formation that we'll build upon. And then from there, you see this is our more attacking formation. Either when we're big favorites or when we're at home. 3 defenders, so you get rid of our fullbacks and turn them into midfielders. Just because, like I said, we have a ton of midfielders, and they're all really good. So having them all in the lineup at a given time isn't bad. And then no real changes to our counter strategy. But yeah, this is our 5-4-1 is going to be sort of our standard strategy going into games, and then we'll adjust from there depending on who we're playing and how the game is going. So that is going to do it for this video, guys. I will be back next time with the first match of the season. Until then, be sure to like and favorite this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and help me reach my first goal of 50 subscribers. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. The name on all those sites is Johnny2Thumbs17, and as always, those links will be down below in the description. So until the next video, guys, peace.